Oh god, this is bright. Well, anyway, boys, today it's time to check out on Final Fantasy XIV because it's been a while since I've been updated about this game, which is really weird considering the fact I've played it for 6 months of my life and it was one of the best times I've ever had in an MMORPG. To this day, the story of FF14 is one of the best I've ever seen in my life, except for the Dawntrail one. I haven't really checked that one out because I was already out by this point. But yeah, I mean, this game will always have a special place in my heart. So let's check out this video. By the way, I spent so much of my time at the Gold Saucer, it's actually crazy. I can't believe no other MMO had tried to replicate that. I literally have the most expensive mount from there, like the cactus mount, or the cacti, I don't know how you call it, but yeah, it's awesome, man, it's dope.
Final Fantasy XIV is one of those games that I was fabulously late to. After almost 20 years of having a dysfunctional relationship with World of Warcraft,
Same.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead!
I decided in 2023 to break
You
off the
stole a
engagement and meet someone new, but
bond.
thankfully I didn't have to look very far for a replacement. Back in 2023, Final Fantasy XIV really took me for a spin. It's seriously one of those gaming experiences that I'll remember for as long as I live. And to make it clear, no, I did not skip any of the content.
I remember that.
I mainlined the pain like a professional masochist.
If you skip the content, the game would be 70% less fun for you. It's truly all about the story. You need to understand who you're fighting and what you do and for what reason. Otherwise, all of this is not gonna make sense to you. Because you're not playing FF14 for like the combat, because it's garbage. The engine is so broke and old that it works on PS3. Not even PS4, right? Like PS3, you can play this game on. And that's kind of wild when you think about it because it's so outdated at this point. So you really do play for the story.
And as such, I played From a Realm Reborn.
I mean, at least from my perspective and what I've heard from other people.
And finished off with Endwalker in the span of maybe, 2
Yep.
months, and thankfully I didn't need to wait very long for the next expansion, Dawntrail, which was scheduled to release in 2024.
This one I
might
haven't heard
sound
anything
familiar
about.
to you, or maybe it doesn't, but if it does, and you're stuck in that period either before or after playing through Dawntrail, and you're asking yourself, but is it worth getting into?
Also, my god, look at all... I guess he's gonna talk about that. Yeah, he's gonna talk about that. I'll keep it. I'll save my opinions.
Or maybe you've never
when
played
they're relevant.
FF14 before, and you're still
I want to talk
deciding
about the
on whether
combat,
it's
but...
worth jumping into or not. And well, if it wasn't obvious from the first 20 seconds of this video, if you're someone who's pining for a long and detailed story that gradually builds into an explosive, semi-orgasmic
like the CGI trailers,
well, then
they're
Final
incredible.
Fantasy XIV is your soulmate. There's not a single MMO on the market that does story and character building like FF14 does.
Oh man, I forgot his name. I love this character.
With fictional
the
cat
Dragon
voice,
Owner.
and there's no reversing it. What I'm trying to say here is that you're probably gay. In any case, I gotta admit, making a video around Final Fantasy XIV is really difficult because so many things can constitute a spoiler. I mean, even naming a mount feels like I'm breaking NDA. But I don't think I've ever played an online game that takes you through so many highs and lows.
Dude, the main hubs in FF14 are goated. They're so good. Like, they are truly amazing, especially the one in, like, Shadowbringers. It's so damn good.
Laughs and tears, and in the end leaves you completely satisfied. Before Dawntrail, that is. And we'll get to that a little later, but for now, let's talk about some basics for all of you beginners. As I always tend to do with these videos, let's go through the character creation.
Customization was good.
While having some pretty alright presets that can absolutely make your character look cool, it does have a distinct lack in level of detail. You can't really do much interesting stuff with any of the 10 playable races, except maybe changing your height.
Yeah, but you also need to consider the fact that this is an extremely old engine, and you're really restricted in what you can do. So that's, you know, partially due. It's like nature of the beast thing. It is what it is. But I think for what it was worth, it was really good for the time.
One of those parts about the game that's always left me feeling somewhat disappointed because I can never really make my character just right. And it's especially noticeable after having recently played Black Desert Online, which
that's so crazy. I played it as... Whoa! Nice one. He chose the right slider. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's so facts. I played BDO recently, and the amount of customization is legendary. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Even though I will admit, there are some hairstyles that I thought were missing. Like, they could have done way more. Maybe it's per class, I'm not really sure. But regardless, it's crazy. You can actually choose certain parts of, like, the body or the face, and you can actually, like, design them however you like. It's crazy.
Of details that you can adjust. Let's just say that I miss my jiggle physics. That said, BDO does not have a variety of races to pick from, and for what it's worth, when you can play as a giant bun girl, it's just an automatic win, man. And after having played through most of my 2 years as a bunny with heterochromia, I'd say that you get used to it, especially so considering the amount of screen time your character gets with all the cutscenes. But it's not just an interactive movie we're playing here, so what about the combat, the gameplay? Well, FF14, like many other MMOs before it, struggles pretty heavily with making combat interesting in the early levels. Press one button, wait, press another button, and that's your rotation. I can't really think of a single class or job, as it's known in this game, that starts...
By the way, I think that's completely fine. I'm a classic WoW Andy, and slower combat and fewer abilities are just my type of thing. I don't like it when my screen is getting bombarded with abilities, and by the way, he's gonna talk about it later, so I'm gonna continue and I'll talk about it.
Being really fun right out the box, and I've played every single job in this game. Most jobs feel pretty clumsy and slow to play in the beginning, and I think this is probably one of the most common areas where someone might just decide to give up on the game, simply because FF14's combat is very deliberate in design. This gets very clear.
It's just clunky, brother. Nobody cared. People play classic WoW, and like Fireball and Pyroblast are extremely slow spells. Nobody cares because they feel good. Final Fantasy 14 abilities don't feel good. They feel trash because the engine is so old.
As you unlock more and more skills, as FF14 uses a combo system where if you chain various abilities together in the correct order, you successively make each ability stronger.
Exactly, and this is a very problematic system. I heard they were starting to fix that. They have when I played, but yeah, it's still really bad. It's not good, because I'll explain it to you. I'm going to assume you haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in your life, because this is like a channel that various MMO players watch videos on. So basically, it's very simple. You see it has, let's look at that, like 1, 2, 3. These abilities are connected. You can't combo it with anything else. By the way, he's playing the class I played, like the Gunbreaker, the tank. He's really fun. And yeah, basically you press 1, then you press 2, and then you press 3. It's that simple. You have no macros inside of this game for God knows why reason. And all you need to do is waste 3 keybinds to do essentially 1 combo. This is the worst degenerate system I've ever seen in my entire life. I have absolutely no idea why they didn't combine all of this together. I know now they do for some abilities, it's not for everything. Maybe they changed that in Dawntrail, I'm not really sure, I haven't checked out this expansion, but when I played, they actually made a few changes to this. But currently, as you can see, this is how I played. So I did 1, 2, 3. This was one rotation. I wasted 3 keybinds on that. And then you do like 1, 2, 3. He put it on, I think, in like shift, maybe. I'm not really sure. But this is pretty much how you play. This is like the combat strategy. And this is very dumb because if you could chain those into one macro of doing 1 and then it swaps to 2 and then it swaps to 3, just like Guild Wars 2 is doing it, that would have been 10 times better. Like 10 times better, because in Guild Wars, whenever you have a combo ability, you press 1 key, it swaps, and then you just press it again. And it saves so much time and effort, and also look how clumsy that is. Eventually, you can't even like click most of these abilities, because they're keybind on so many spots. It's just very difficult, and it just cluttered, and it's just too much, man. Like, it's just too much. I didn't like that at all. And also, you have an insane amount of buffs that I really wish, like, they weren't there. There's, like, too many of them. Like, too many. Every class can do anything. There's no difference between tanks and all of that stuff as well. It's really frustrating. Class identity is pretty much off the window.
Combo system is, by all intents and purposes, very casual in nature. Because there are no skill trees in FF14, you'll probably be burnt out from your main class at one point or another. However, unlike many other MMOs, FF14 doesn't lock you into a specific class for the remainder
I love
of the
Samurai.
game.
Samurai
You can pretty
is
much
goated.
decide to switch jobs on the fly,
Samurai,
given that you
Samurai is a really good example of how the combat system actually works, because Samurai is one of the classes that can combo off of different abilities. So you can essentially like go 1 into 3 into 2, or you can go like 2 into 1 into whatever, right? Usually you have like a starter combo. I'm not gonna go like too much into detail here because it doesn't matter, but Samurai is one of the classes that do have a really unique playstyle. I will say that. So it kind of works with him. He was like my main DPS, but yeah, he is a good class.
You've unlocked
The others
the
aren't
job
like that.
through a quest line beforehand.
At least
I very
as
much
far as
love
I
this
know.
system because it makes leveling alts less of a necessity, and you can focus pretty much all of your time and effort into your main character. On the other hand, though, I kinda miss the alt friendliness of WoW, mainly because having alts allows you to hop between characters that can differ wildly in appearance and design.
Yeah, that is also
FF14
true.
bypasses this issue too, but
It's definitely a give and take situation because, yeah, it's really fun when you can focus on one character and you can have all of the classes you want on it. But it's also really fun to design different classes for different specs. Like, for sure. Like, different races for different classes, right? You want to be like an orc warrior, and then you want to be like an undead priest or whatever, a mage. Like, that's good. Like, I think that's a good thing. So, but... yeah, I guess it's just a give and take situation for sure.
in a less impressive way.
Usually I'm for not having everything on the same class because I'm an altaholic. I love like playing a lot of different stuff and races. But if you can make the alting experience less tedious with like bonus experience and stuff like that, that is awesome.
You see, there are these items called Fantasia that allows you to redesign your character, and you can completely redesign your
Whoa.
tune from the ground up by using this. The problem is that aside from a few free ones you sometimes receive in-game, Fantasias can only be obtained on the MOG store, where you pay with real money to receive in-game items. Ah, yes, nothing
Damn,
says fantasy
wait, how
to
much it
receive
cost?
in-game items.
$10 for one Fantasia. Jesus, man. It's
Yes,
wild.
nothing says fantasy immersion like entering your credit card info to change into a cat girl. Now, while I don't necessarily have a problem with this, it is a little annoying to have to resort to buying this whenever you just want to play around with another tune. Well, just play on your other alt then, I hear you screaming in the comment section.
Nope.
And, well, you're right. You are free to just hop on over and level up your alt. But,
Nah,
unfortunately,
there's too much
FF14
story.
does not share progress between characters. Hell, you don't even share
Nothing is account-wide. They're literally counting on the fact that you do everything on one single character. And that makes total sense too. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, you have everything essentially just packed into one hero, and you know what? It's actually good. There is no reason to open another character, like none at all. And it's just unfortunate, man. It costs so much. I didn't even know that. I never entered the cash up.
banks, and you can't even send mail to yourself. And because of the sheer volume of quest lines and prerequisites you have to complete to access certain things like dungeons, trials, and raids, you will have to do them all over again.
Absolutely. So, you have so many things to do because everything is reliant on you being on one character. You have so many unlocks and like achievable things that nobody want to do them ever again.
Let's just say that FF14 is
including story quests that you can't skip through. And it's just hours and hours of gameplay. Like, you don't want to do this again.
The most alt-friendly game, hence my complaint. At any rate, the job system is pretty great, and before I forget, I just gotta say how much I enjoy the trade skilling jobs. For example, if you're not much of a fighter, you can simply elect to just gather and craft your way through the game. And FF14 has this pretty cool approach to crafting where you have to actually, well, craft. Shocking, I know, a crafting system that involves crafting, I hear you say. Next, I'll be telling you that fishing involves fish. Seriously though, as an example, if you're forging a ring and you want it to become a high quality item, then you have to fill a quality bar by selectively picking the right action before you run out of attempts. It's like a turn-based battle between you and a bracelet, and sometimes the bracelet wins. This makes the crafting side of FF14 feel very engaging, and I often find myself losing my sense of time whenever I start working on my trade skill jobs. The sun rises, the coffee's cold, and I've made 400 shoes. Aside from trade skilling, gathering, and playing through the main questline, or MSQ for short, there's a whole host of things to do in Final Fantasy XIV, and naturally, the amount of activities to do increases with each new expansion. Farm for legendary weapons, buy your own house or apartment and furnish it, partake in massive PvP battles, try your hand at savage raiding, take up zany questlines that'll have you question the sanity of the OGP. Oh man, I love this questline. There's so many things in this game that will keep you occupied for months.
It's in every city.
Not even years. And whether that's fulfilling or deeply concerning is, well, simply up to you. That said, and speaking for myself here, I picked up FF14 because I heard that it does a good job with storytelling, and well, it disappointed my productivity, my social life, and my spine. But not my soul. Now, as I mentioned earlier, talking about Final Fantasy XIV story and characters is so goddamn fucking difficult because there are so many twists and turns that is best served fresh. And any footage I show for you on screen could be seen as a spoiler to someone. Honestly, if I even breathe near the plot, someone's gonna post a timestamped angry comment or somebody's gonna chase me down. I swear. But let's just say this, the base game storyline, that being A Realm Reborn, leading up to and post Endwalker, is absolutely phenomenal in ways I just can't describe in a way that does it justice.
Absolutely.
You simply have to experience it for yourself. And by
Absolutely. It was one of the best stories I've ever heard, and it takes hours upon hours to complete. You go through all of these quests, all of them make sense, and the way that they tell the story too is not boring, because they don't give you walls of text, they give you cutscenes and then like a short snippet of a text, like Twetlongers, right? And then you go again, another cutscene, maybe a fight, something. Like, they do it in a very good, like, respectable manner that actually makes you enjoy the game. They don't just drop lore in you like WoW does. Like, WoW is literally the worst in telling a story, and it only gotten worse during the years, because nowadays it's literally you enter a game and you're locked into hours upon hours of RP you don't really care about or understand anything, and it's just so cringe to see. And that's why so many new players quit too. But Final Fantasy does a really good job easing you into the game, and it ramps up as you grow with the game, right? As your understanding grows, so does the game. And it's fantastic. Like, they did a phenomenal job with the storytelling for sure. And it's also not overwhelming with quests. You pretty much just do the MSQ and that's it. You don't do really side quests. They don't matter.
Experience it, I mean cry into your keyboard at 3 a.m. over a mommy goddess with huge badonkers.
God.
At any rate, this brings us to the most recent expansion, Dawn Trail. Now, Dawn Trail is a very interesting expansion because it is supposed to serve as a sort of soft reboot to the entire storyline. You see, the previous expansions were all building to a grand finale in Endwalker, ending off a specific storyline that started with the base game, A Realm Reborn. And after the giant and frankly absurd events of Endwalker, Dawn Trail was always in a very bad spot because it had to contend with one of the greatest story culminations in video game history.
And also the story essentially just ended, and you just trying to milk the cow at this point, and everyone kind of feels it. And that's what's very unfortunate. Nobody's willing to let a game die. It's the same thing with World of Warcraft, because the story kind of died with the Lich King, and nobody was willing to accept that, and that's why we got pandas.
And well,
nobody wanted that.
Dawn Trail is an expansion that, in my opinion, stumbles a lot, especially in terms of writing, characters, and pacing, and unfortunately...
And by the way, I'm not saying WoW's story couldn't have been continued, it's just that they had no idea what they were doing. I think, yeah, you could have delved a little bit deeper into the Legion parts and stuff, but clearly they wanted to make sure WoW is being milked as long as possible. And that's why we got all of these random expansions and like time travel and stuff that nobody cares about, and BFA, and God forbid, like Shadowlands. Yeah, you know, we can go on and on and on, right? But this is the reason why we got all of these filler expansions. The only one who felt right was Legion.
Its issues are not just bound to storytelling. While some of the later content, like the 7.2 and 7.3 patches, introduce some really cool new dungeons and raids, the base Dawn Trail experience as you level up your Warrior of Light from 90 to 100 can feel like an absolute slog sometimes. And it's not until roughly half of your leveling experience where the game finally starts to pick up speed again. Like, you can absolutely feel it in your bones when starting at 90. At one point, you log in and think, wait, was that it? And then 10 hours later, the game goes, oh wait, here's the plot, found it! The storyline is more laid back, you're in a more sunny and tropical environment, and even the Warrior of Light takes a backseat in a world where they're usually the main character. This, as it turns out, has become one of the largest complaints about Dawn Trail, where the stakes aren't as high and the story sort of scales downwards instead of up. And as much as I agree that it does indeed get very fucking boring sometimes, I also understand why Yoshi P and the team chose to go this route, because when you end a saga, like in the case of Endwalker, you sort of have to pull back and set the stage again, especially so due to the scale of events in Endwalker. However, as I mentioned, things start getting interesting around the halfway point, and I think the devs has managed to make the expansion more enjoyable as time has passed, especially...
I do agree with this point. Like, making a new base to the game will always frustrate, like, older players who already love the old lore. And it's very difficult. I think they kind of had to bite the bullet there and do this expansion, and maybe the next one will actually be better. I mean, I hope so.
So with the more recent updates. So at the end of the day, is Final Fantasy XIV worth playing in 2025? Abso-heckin-lutely. In Final Fantasy XIV, you will find some of the most emotional and impactful storylines in gaming. Stories that make you hurt so bad that it makes you want to call your mama and ask her how her day is going, just to fill your body with something, anything to wash away the hollow emptiness that has taken root in the depths of your soul, especially so after Endwalker. Final Fantasy XIV may not have the most explosive and engaging combat, the greatest endgame, or even the best writing, but damn it, no other MMO out there will have you weeping like a goddamn baby that lost its favorite toy. What I'm trying to say here is that Final Fantasy XIV...
Yeah, okay, he's saying it's worth, that's pretty much the end of the video. By the way, I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you guys can watch this video for yourself, give it a like and a sub if you haven't already, but yeah, I mean, he's saying exactly the things that I said, like... You pretty much play this game for the story, because it's that good. Now, I will say, the combat and the way the game moves is absolutely horrendous, but it just kind of, it is what it is. There you go, I said it. Because, you know, the game is very, very, very old. There's nothing you can do about that. Unfortunately, I thought that whenever they're gonna finish the storyline, they're gonna do a complete overhaul and just... change the engine, move to a new one, and we get a new, fresh experience. I was 99% sure of it, and I was so disappointed to hear they're continuing with the same engine. Yeah, it just broke my heart. That's pretty much the reason for why I quit. I thought they were going to move to a newer engine, and then I would have 100% continued to play this game for sure. But unfortunately, they didn't do that, so that's why I ended up quitting. I couldn't take, like, the poor way this game moves... and the combat, it's just too bad. It's not worth the story. I can always watch the story online, but I don't want to have to play through it, because it was a literal hell. It was just too much for me. I couldn't take it. I do not enjoy how this game moves at all. And that's unfortunate, because this game is essentially being gatekept by its own developers, because they're unwilling to just make changes to the engine. And I know it may be a higher up call, because they want to rush things and they don't want to take 5 years to build a new engine, or like 3, I don't know how many years it takes, but I think it will be worth it. If they actually manage to pull this off and they will upgrade the engine, I think they're gonna like get millions new players, because nobody wanna play this in 2025, Chief. Like, nobody, and we're at the end of the year. Like, we're almost at 2026. This is unacceptable. This is less than mobile game, like there's some mobile games out there. Mobile games looks better than this, okay? Like, we need to step it up. We need to make changes to the engine, and even if it means that players will lose all of their items, I think it will be good, because you don't need to be considerate of the players at this case. You need to think about the future, because eventually players are going to quit, and you'll have no influx of new players coming into the game. So you also need to think about that. While I do appreciate the sentiment of trying to like preserve the old players, I think that appealing to new ones is more important, because old players are just gonna end up quitting anyway. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this. Still, I love this game so much. It will always hold such a special place in my heart. But yeah, I mean, I wish it all the best, man. I truly do. I'll keep an eye out on it. Maybe it's becoming even more interesting. Like maybe it will become more interesting in the future for sure.